Hi, welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. Well, you know what? We got two distinguished gentlemen from Bowie State University. First, we have Dr. Clarence Knight. He's the department chairman of the Fine Arts, Performing Arts building that they're building there. And we also have Dr. Roosevelt Newman. He's the vice president of student affairs, or academic affairs. What's the difference, student affairs and academic? It's the same thing, isn't it?
No, it's not quite.
No, it's not quite. Okay, then. All right. Dr. Knight, I'd like to congratulate you and Bowie State University for this fine building that for fine arts. Give us a background on that building. I know it took some time. It's going to be a few years before it's actually functioning.
Well, actually, the vision for this building started about 15 years ago. And we actually had to do the feasibility study. We had a lot of justifying to do, really getting the program together.
Well, you said justifying. Is that for money or for the project?
Well, justifying for the project first.
First.
Yeah, and the money later on.
And then
yeah.
the money.
Because you had to do things and talk about things, you know. To give you an example of the kind of things that happen, they deal with a lot of numbers. I mean, in terms of the number of people that we were serving, the type of programs that we had and so forth, whether or not the program that we had at Bowie really justified a new facility. So all of this was done during the feasibility stage, which was early on, about 15 years ago.
Is that right?
So we were a part of that for quite some time, and it went back and forth, you know, between the consultants that they had hired to do this and the department, as well as the administration that we had on campus at that time. And so this was a long process, just that portion of it, to get them to say, okay, fine, let's the study, we'll do the study, and now we'll think about doing the building. And so this has been a long-term project. It didn't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm. And how did you get any outside help with that? When I say outside help, I'm thinking about money.
No, we didn't. We didn't get any outside help, not financial help anyway.
Yeah.
Most of the things that was done internally, between us and USM systems and so forth.
Right.
So there was no funding from the outside that I knew anything about.
No federal funding?
No.
No state funding?
Well, the state funding was there, yes.
The state funding was there.
Yeah.
That's where it went through, the state.
Right. In fact, even the consultants were hired by the state. And so consequently, the state funding started off initially, you know, in terms of just doing the study itself. Because this whole study had to be done before they actually would consider, you know, what we're doing
Well,
now.
tell us the makeup of the building itself as far as departments is concerned.
Well, we have three not departments, but three disciplines that are going to be in that building. Of course, we have art, and we have two phases of art. One is the visual arts, and the other is the computer graphics art. And secondly, we'll have music, and that's divided into two different areas. We have the regular music performance and also the music technology phase of it. And then we have theater. So all of those units are going to be housed in this building. Okay. And so the building is set up functionally to accommodate these people.
Dr. Newman, tell us about the input from students. You're chairman, vice chairman of the student affairs, right?
No, I'm the provost and vice president for academic affairs.
Academic. Tell us about the academic aspects of that.
Well, it's a wonderful opportunity with this building to expand our program offerings. At this point, we are moving ahead with a degree program in music education. We have a number of students at our university who aspire to be music teachers, and we have had no program in the past. And it begins to be the chicken-egg riddle. Well, we have part of that resolved now because we have the building, and a wonderful building, and it allows us a chance to expand and seek the approval for a music education degree that will enhance our opportunities.
A music education degree?
That's correct.
That's wonderful.
That's where a number of, and that's the focus of our program here at the university. We have a number of students who want that career track and who need it.
Well, that's why I was asking as far as the demand and the need is for this type of program.
I'm sure that this is work that Dr. Knight and his group were very much involved with long before I arrived here 14 months ago. They did all the hard work. When I arrived, I was presented with the approval for building and the design for the building, and everything was go. I appreciate the work. I'm happy I wasn't around when he had to do all of that work, but it was an awful lot of work.
Right.
And now that we are moving ahead, we are looking at expanding our program offerings, both, I mean, not both, but in music, in the visual arts, as well as theater.
Dr. Knight, give us your background. You was talking about, in that background, you had Gladys Knight. Some of the things that you've been involved in. So you retired like I did, and somebody came and said, "Hey, we put you to work." But you know that I stressed that on the show here, that you have to give something back. You know what I mean? When all the experiencing that you had, that you've had, you know what I mean? You had to pass it on. See, you're relating to me about Gladys Knight. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I have a very rich background, and when I say rich, I mean in terms of experiences in music as well as administration, and musically, I mean I've done everything anybody could ever envision. I've had the pop work, of course, as you say, with Gladys and a lot of the other artists that I've worked with. I've done a lot of musical theater. I've had an opportunity to play just about every show you can think of in terms of musical shows, you know. I've done The Whiz and a lot of other shows, but I've had a rich career in teaching too, because I started as a teacher in North Carolina back in 1959, which was a long time ago. And then it was a short military career where I actually was an aviator. I had a chance to fly, yes.
Well, you know something about the Tuskegee program then?
Well, now, I'm not quite that old.
I say you knew something about it.
I knew something about it. And
that may have been the things that got you involved in it.
Well, let me tell you, one of the things that is really exciting to me is that two of my check pilots were actually from the Tuskegee Airmen program.
Okay.
Yeah, they were former pilots that actually flew with the Tuskegee Airmen. And so I took my training down in Alabama, which is not too far from Tuskegee, of course.
Right.
And when I was in what we call the military phase of my training, I had two check pilots who were actually former Tuskegee Airmen. So, of course, that was during the time when it wasn't in vogue for too many African Americans to be pilots in the service.
Exactly.
So it was a very enriching and rewarding career that I had in the military. I only spent about 8 years on active duty. We were 1 tour in Vietnam, of course, flying helicopters. But after that, I came back to D.C. and taught in the school system. I started my musical career all over again, wherein I taught music in the schools. I also had an opportunity to play a lot of shows, as I said. I became a contractor where I was working a lot and bringing a lot of us. When I say us, again, I'm talking about African American, into the fold of the regular things that were happening in and around D.C. and up and down the East Coast. So I've had a very rewarding career. The time that I was talking about with Gladys, I mean, that was in and out for a while. And when I retired from the school system in D.C., that's when I went on the road with her for about 4 years. And a friend of mine invited me to come to Bowie for lunch. And unbeknown,
and they trap you. Huh?
Yeah, unbeknown to me, it was an interview.
That's what they do.
I didn't know it was an interview, and until the lunch was over, and somebody asked me when did I want to come to work. And I said I really hadn't planned to go back to work, but they made it kind of interesting in that the challenge was there. What they actually asked me to do was to come and start a band program at Bowie. And so I told them, okay, fine, I'll give you 2 years. That was 25 years ago.
25 years
ago. I haven't left there now, still there.
Now the band program, haven't they won a few awards at Bowie State?
Yes, I think it has come a long way.
Yeah.